Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Dylan. Have you seen what all the new kids are doing with their cameras lately?
No.
They're going out there and they're taking these HDR photos. You heard of this?
Yes.
You gotta
Are you
follow
going
up.
somewhere
If
with
you're gonna
that?
answer
Like,
yes,
I don't
then
know
you
where
have
you're
to
going.
follow up with the definition. What is it?
Well, yes, I have. It's, I don't know the exact mechanics of it, but basically it simulates the way, bright light and sunlight would look to you.
So what it does is you take multiple photographs at several exposures. A low, a medium, a high. Mama bear, papa bear, baby bear, right? You get these three, and then when you load it up in Photoshop or your graphic editing program, you combine all the images. But because they are at different exposures, you end up with an image that has a greater variance in exposure than an actual single image could be. So the traditional use for HDR was taking a photo at the beach. If you want the beautiful clouds going on and the sun bright and everything, you gotta, crank up the exposure, let some of that awesome light come through. The problem is it's going to reflect off of the ocean and then just white out the entire ocean. So if you want the bright sky, but the beautiful reflection on the ocean, you take 3 photos. And you take a photo whited out, and a photo normal, and then a photo dark. And then the ocean gets more of the dark photo, so you have the wonderful reflection down at the ocean. And then the sky gets, more of the natural sunlight. But there's also been a trend. You can go see these, go search for HDR on Flickr, of just taking everyday things and then creating these crazy, oversaturated, they don't look quite real anymore, but they're very vivid color photographs, and HDR can be used to do that as well. But the reason we're talking about HDR is all of this is in the Sunburn framework.
Right, and it's actually very easy to go in and add to a scene. You grab your scene interface object, there's a post-processor manager where you can add in post-processor effects, and for example, the HDR is you new up a class called high dynamic range. Okay, I've got that right.
That's
I always forget.
high dynamic range.
High
HDR.
dynamic range post-processor. You pass in the graphics device manager. Done.
And then you can probably tweak some parameters for how much or how little of the effect you want.
Yeah, it's got some detail parameters. I don't know if they actually, because again, I don't know the mechanics of it. You can use to kind of tweak what it will do, but you throw that in there, and basically, it takes your scene and all the whites get much brighter. It has that very bright sunshine, sort of effect. Like you're outside.
Yeah, so it's a real easy way to add kind of an artistic style to the rendering of your game, and this is built in the Sunburn game engine, which you can find out more about at synapsegaming.com. All right, everyone, welcome to the show. I'm going to test something out here. Hold on a second. Hey, everyone, welcome to the show. I am Mike.
I'm Cicely.
I'm Dylan.
Holy shit, you guys will just do that on demand. Like, I can probably be anywhere.
We've been doing
and just,
it for so long.
Go out somewhere and just go, at the waitress like, hello, I am Mike.
I will not do it.
Yeah, but you had the itch. Like, it was something in the back of your head said, I had to say, I am Cicely right now. They were talking about this on the Tested podcast. At the end of the show, Will Smith, the guy who leads the podcast, instead of starting the ending of the show, he kicked into the opening of the show, and they just went through the opening of the show like whoa, hold on, we just we started the show, and so I was wondering, what if you guys are trained too?
Well, we're doing five of these a week. I don't even think we ever talked through that. You usually opened it up, and I don't know, when we first started doing it, there was some confusion of what order should we go in, and at some point it just whatever.
So, our fourth guest on the show is Daniel Steger. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
All right, welcome to the show. Finally, you've been watching us for quite a while. How long have you been? When did you find out about us? How did you find out about us?
Oh, I have no idea how I found out about you. I think I was just looking up one of my games sometime and I found this video that you made of it.
Hopefully it wasn't too bad. I mean, we have had some where we've gone off. I know we had some fun with
We have
Baby Maker.
never been negative. That is a lie.
How can you say that with a straight face?
Everything I have played is
We had
great.
some fun.
Smirking.
We had some fun with Baby Maker Extreme
Yes.
on there. I know we covered Baby Maker Extreme too, but at that point we knew you were watching, so that always makes it different.
Yeah.
It's a different show when you don't know people are watching. You know, or when you know the developer isn't watching, or you don't know that they're watching you.
It is, but I think it keeps you a little more honest. Like you can't just go
dial
off on
back
people.
a little bit, and you make sure, like, if you're gonna say something negative or rip it for something, that it's really an issue. It's not. We got better about
This
it.
should actually be well founded instead of just
Wait a second. You guys call me out more in other videos than in my own games.
Well, that's because
We
like,
love you.
Mike decided he had a feud with you at some point.
well, every video like comment in IRC, you would complain if I complained about title save or controller passing or something. So then, if I was going to complain about that, I just naturally thought of Stegs. You know, it was like, oh, Stegs isn't going to like to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And then, they're not always overt. Sometimes they're just for you. Sometimes I don't think anybody else will pick up on it. I think we get a game not this week. We got a game next week. The text was completely outside of title save, like it was clipped off. And I do have to say, because we record... Oh, go ahead.
Is it the Pimp RPG?
Yes, it's Pimp RPG.
Because they've been failed at least once, I think, by Mad and me for that.
Yeah, and it's not even close. It's not like this is a little out or anything. And I realize, like, in our setup, because it's very tricky to try to record an HDMI signal, an HDMI cable, right? That's still very expensive and a lot of hardware involved, and sometimes it works and all that. So we're doing 1080p over component cables. And I realized that the box that we're using to record has less title safe issues, has less overscan in recording than it does on output. So when we're actually on the TV, I've noticed we're seeing less than it's actually recording. Because when we played, I think it was Cicely and I, what was the game where we had that barrier? We couldn't see the barrier at the end of the screen.
Oh, the one with the force scroller.
Yeah, the scrolling shoot 'em up. You could see it made a great impression on us. When I went to the video, when I went to edit the video, I realized that was on there the entire time. And we kind of look like asses because we're talking about, like, oh, you can't see this on the screen right now. It's like, no, you can totally fucking see it.
Well,
we can't.
the TV and the computer.
Yeah, that
Are
like
two
that
different
plays.
things, but I suppose it's reading it and showing what it's reading, and just not showing us what it's reading.
Yeah, but like anybody will give us that benefit of the doubt in the comments on the video. Or they'll just tell us to fuck off. We don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Well, then
and we're
whatever.
idiots.
They'll try it their own fucking
And she
self.
sounds
and
drunk again.
I'm not drunk.
No, if you
got
haven't
in
listened to the
comments when you sounded
podcast,
drunk.
you have not heard her sound drunk.
Yeah, that's true. The video she's not been drunk for, on the podcast she has. All right, sorry for all of that. Let's get back to Stegersaurus games here. First of all, I've said several times, I love This Is Hard. Are you working on any kind of sequels or similar games?
I'm always considering making another platformer style game. Maybe not This Is Hard right away. I've thought about sequels for that game, but it's just I don't like making sequels all that much.
So, in This Is Hard, how much of this was like it was in your head and it worked the first time, and how much of it was playtest and revision? The game has an excellent balance between a hard, challenging platform and not being frustrating.
Well, the reason for that is because I made the game after reading the Super Meat Boy blog about making games accessible but still hard.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I love that game, and I reviewed that game. I even noted on the site because I went back and checked the review. When I reviewed that game, I had just played that Lab Rabbit game,
Yeah,
which I cussed up and
I
down.
remember that. That was
I hated Lab Rabbit because
And yeah,
he
I
just touch a
was
corner
done.
and like lose his head.
I was done with these stupid hard Meat Boy wannabe hard platformer, games. It's like you guys suck. You don't understand balance. You just understand frustration, and that does not make a game. It has a niche appeal. I think there's a niche out there that kind of does it, but
Masochistic.
yeah, I
Those are
went
the
into
people
it.
who have
But
already beaten Mega Man 9 and need something else.
that was done real well. So you've done Baby Maker Extreme 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because you were just counting up, like you've hit like 10 games. You have a second account now, right? You have a Stegersaurus games too?
Yeah, I'm currently working on my 13th title.
Is there some that you pulled and that's why they're not allowed, or?
No, they're all there.
Oh, okay.
It's just I don't talk about Pumpkin Carver much.
You did make Pumpkin Carver. You did make Stick Massage.
I like Stick Massage. No one else likes Stick Massage, but I like Stick Massage. And I know, saying that, I know it sounds very wrong.
How is it different than other massage games?
Do you
It's
just
the
like...
only massage game that isn't a massage game.
The did you ever watch Ren and Stimpy?
Yes.
Did you watch Ren and Stimpy, Stegs?
Yeah.
You remember the commercials for Log?
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of. Hey kids, it's Log. You want to play with a log? That's
The box art is me hugging a phone pole.
Oh, so that is you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have to go back
Interesting
and
tidbit. We get to deep
play
journalism.
Just my arms and legs. You don't see me.
You said it is not you doing the voice in This Is Hard, right?
What voice?
The More Deaths? Although it sounds like you.
Oh, jeez, I don't even remember. I think it was me in the trailer.
It's in the game. So it's in the game, and if you're in the trial...
That was completely me. That was me.
Oh, okay, that was you. Because, I mean, it sounds like you now. Maybe you're just screwing with me in IRC one day, I don't know. Or maybe you thought something else.
Well, there are some older games that I've trailers for that I got someone else to do the voice, but most of the time it's me.
Yes, sitting there going, more deaths. What is this?
This is Stick Massage.
Oh, you're pulling up Stick Massage and holding the laptop up. For high production values over here.
Yes,
we got
we
this
are.
video thing figured out.
Shut your mouth. I found him hugging a tree.
So this is hard. Is there? The 3Ms, Mega Monster Mania, Mega. What was that one?
Unsuccessful game.
What's that?
Unsuccessful game. It can just be summarized by those words instead of
I know
whatever.
it was an unsuccessful game, but I mean, it wasn't.
I have the sales stats. It was unsuccessful.
But it wasn't like a bad game. It was just another unfortunate, like, good game that doesn't get picked up or stick or.
Well, it kind of gets just as much emails to me as any of my other games. Like it gets as many emails to me as Baby Maker, I think.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, emails kind of like measure like how involved the community is and people, when people sit down and send an email, they really are into...
Well, do you put your email address in games or what sort of emails do you get?
I just put my website in my games, and then people who actually get to my website and don't spell Stegersaurus wrong eventually find my email. But the emails I get, it's like there's one guy who really wants a sequel to MMM, who's emailed me, I think, multiple times about it.
It's actually pretty cool. I mean...
We don't get emails on Inkablog.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking,
I wonder what...
Is it obvious how far out of their way are these guys doing?
We don't get emails on the podcast. We don't get emails. I would love to read emails on the show.
We do get emails.
I'm going to start reading comments. And I'm going to start reading YouTube comments. Like, did you see our Mo McCurry YouTube comment?
No, I still need to go back in my junk folder and...
Oh, get those out. So we got a YouTube comment that for the Help Japan. You remember when we did Moa McCurry for Help Japan?
Yeah, to kind of promote...
The comment was, I bet you these guys had boners the entire video.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I got...
And I wanted to link to them like, hey, you didn't even see Moa McCurry 2. Go click here.
I got a comment on one of my recent videos that just said, I don't get it. I'm like, why are you even posting a comment if you don't get, if you're not related to like the joke being told?
They're doing you a service, man. They're telling you that they don't get it. They're obviously representative of everyone on the internet.
Yeah, there's some confusion in chat. So when he says 13 games, you have 2 accounts. So you go in and you get a second Creators Club account. You pay a second $99 a year for that account. But you still get revenue off the first one if you don't renew it?
I've heard you do, but I keep renewing it because I would rather not have to deal with at some point my account screwing up. Like, I don't want to take the risk of my games disappearing and then, 5 days later, Microsoft might fix it, and I have had 0 downloads for those days, and all the games disappear from any kind of ranking. That would be horrible to me.
Yeah, okay. Because I think I've read that on chat that I think if you are in the forums, for the people that have multiple accounts, you just let one expire, you still get the payout, but you lose the ability to do anything to those games. Like, they get frozen. So, like, if something goes wrong or something you need to do that, you're gonna have to pay. Which, as Daniel, Steg says here, I can take. There's posts in there right now of like, hey, it's been like months and nobody's approving my W8. Nobody replies to me, and I'd like to get this taken care of. Who can I talk to? And there's no replies to those because it's like, yeah, nobody listens.
Yeah, I've actually got 2 friends of mine in Toronto who are getting into XNA development, and one of them has like I think 3 games made already, but he won't release them until he gets his W8 stuff processed.
Wow, Signal XNA, MVP being hostile in the chat. All right,
I agree with Signal. If you have 10 games and you can't make $100 a year, what the hell are you doing? Because I make well over that on my first account. My first account pays for itself quite nicely.
For the record, right? You do this full time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean that, you're probably not yachts and bitches and coke parties, but you're able to make a living at this. That gets some props. That gets some credit. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do on this service. So I mean, you're doing well if you can make a living on this.
Well, like I almost didn't make a living at it because Baby Maker 1 was just the big standout hit that I got, and Baby Maker 1 was supposed to be the last project I ever made for the Xbox Marketplace. I was about to go and get a real job.
Oh, and so it like sucked you back in. It was like, wait a minute, if I
can
sell
make
out, if I stop having these morals and scruples.
No, that's the thing about Baby Maker. I never had any objection to making Baby Maker. Baby Maker was, I have this bullshit funny idea that I want to make. Screw making some serious idea that I think I'll make money. I'm going to make Baby Maker, which is my joke. And that's what took off, and I was just shocked.
Now, since you've been on G4 Attack of the Show, I mean, I can't imagine much more publicity to a gaming audience than that. Has that actually made a tick up in sales for the games that get mentioned there?
So yeah, for Baby Maker 1, when it got on the show, it had started to kind of waver a bit, and then I just saw for like a few days, like a boost of a few thousand, I think. And so it was just great. It was like, oh, it's pushing me back up into the list. Baby Maker 2 wasn't as good because it had it was never really that much far at the top. So when it was covered by the show, everything gets a bit of a hit when it's covered by a TV show like Attack of the Show. But it's, you know, how the marketplace works is if you can't find the game, you can't find the game pretty much.
Right.
So if you're in a top position and you get the exposure, that's going to add to that great position. But if your game is wavering near like what number 20 or something, it's like, well, I can't find that game, so I won't buy it. I won't try it.
Now, you also had on there, because I mean, you had Morgan Webb pimping Can You Handle Two at Once. Did that get a boost?
I think it got a bit of a boost, not enough to really save it or anything, but it did get a boost.
And that one did kind of slide off, I guess. You know, we covered it, we played it, and you know, it was a neat idea.
Yeah, no, I agree with every criticism about Two at Once. It's just it's a game that's too hard to get into. It's too much mental multitasking involved.
I mean, that's kind of the point, though. Like, it's...
Yeah, I get this. It doesn't have as broad as appeal as some of the others, though.
But like, you know, I spit out like 8 mini games, and none of them really have a lot of depth to them, and they all have a bit middling production value. So, you know, all those kind of small factors add up to the game not really being memorable with people either. And on top of that, each time they play, they have to learn a set of 2 new rules. It kind of breaks down that 8-minute trial.
Yeah. Although, like, the art style on that, we commented on quite a bit, but it's just weird enough that, you know, it makes it stand out.
I think the thinking on the art style, right, was that was going to get people to check it out, right? That was going to drive trials.
I like making fun of the sex cells mentality that a lot of developers have.
One of the games we got coming up in the new releases this week, though, the Get to the Chopper, I think you got somebody cribbing your art style.
It's slightly different. It's more...
the drawing of the woman, though.
It's much rougher. It's actually the kind of rough that looks like it takes no skill, but actually takes skill to...
I hate you, Trebek.
To look that bad? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, you know, to look that bad without looking absolutely
like
terrible.
White Men Can't Jump? It's hard making something this pretty look that bad? Is that what you're...
I guess so. I've never seen that movie.
You've never seen White Men Can't Jump?
Why does this surprise you?
I'm sorry, I still, like, get surprised. Like, I mean, was there, like, a period? Can you just, like, give me, like, from, like, 1992 to 1996, I lived in a cave. And I had no connection to television or radio.
I had connection to television. You know, basic cable. I didn't see a lot of movies as a kid.
White Man Can't Jump is like a TBS staple.
I know.
It's about basketball, isn't it? There you go.
We have that.
Come on. It's about hustling at basketball, but like Rosie Perez, her whole thing is to get onto Jeopardy.
Turned off.
Her whole thing is to get off to Jeopardy. She's constantly studying for and training for Jeopardy.
I don't know. I didn't watch.
And it's Spike Lee and Woody Harrelson.
I don't know. Like, I watched a lot of Nick at Night and stuff like that as a kid, you know. And like I said, we didn't really go to movies because my dad was like, well, you know, we have cable. For a while we had HBO. Why would I pay all that money to go out and...
You got a high five from chat.
High five from whom? About
Smile
what?
Too.
Corpus.
Oh, yeah, Corpus there.
High five for living in a cave, like, sheltered represent.
Perhaps.
The period of 1981 through question mark.
All right, let's talk about Pixel Animator 3D. Let's get to some cool, awesome new stuff here.
Now let's talk about old movies for a while.
Well, it was on sports. That was the high five.
There you go.
I like the idea of Pixel Animator 3D. Because, you know how I talked to you a while ago about, like, this was like a year ago, for, like, GameMarx of, like, making avatar videos?
Yeah.
Like, we would, you know, use the avatars on the Xbox and record that, and then do voiceovers on it, and then make it look like our avatars were doing something on that.
I think that was, like, when we first started, we had, like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do?
When we were still believing, like, we could
Hopes
make
and
money
dreams.
and, yeah, dreams. They weren't dead, you know.
I always thought that was tentative, but
that we weren't going to be going to BizSpark and begging to get onto BizSpark so we can get into Azure for free hosting.
welcome to reality.
Yeah.
May I have another?
Which, by the way, grab this podcast ASAP. The site could go dark the middle of next week if we don't get this hosting thing worked out.
Oh, yeah.
We got like a $600 hosting bill I'm trying not to pay. And Microsoft's taking their damn sweet-ass time about coming back on the BizSpark decision. Pixel Animator 3D. If anybody has seen those Geico commercials or you've been to extranormal.com, I don't know if that was anywhere the inspiration where any of that came from, but that's what this reminds me a lot of. The extranormal.com where you go make those creepy little puppet animations that you just punch in the script and they say that. But this is, what Stegs is doing is basically making a voxel 3D animator. So you can go in there and how does it work? Are you creating a model and animating that, or are you animating the individual voxels?
So it's a two-component system. One is a model editor, where it's kind of like, and the example I used to start off with was 3D Dot Heroes, where you kind of have just a big open field, and you can put down voxels, choose the colors, and add frames to it. So you can make an animation of just someone like walking or putting on their glasses or something in voxel animation. So it's all blocky and restricted to the grid. And then there's the scene animator, where you take all the models you've made and just put them in a scene and say, okay, here's some keyframes where this character is going to move from this position to this position in this time and be at this rotation and that kind of stuff to make the actual full animations.
So is there like a skeletal rig part? Like how would you animate an arm, or is that not there yet? That's kind of still incoming.
No, I don't plan to do any skeletal animation stuff. I actually prototyped this a while ago for another animation program I was thinking of doing, and I just realized like using the Xbox controller to try to adjust keyframes in a single character's bones would be a huge pain in the ass. So I just said, nope, characters are based on blocky movements, so you're pretty much just drawing things like you would in pixel art, and if it's avatars, it just uses kind of a handful of avatar animations that come with XNA, like the walk, the run,
right.
Even though some of those look horrible or have no real purpose. Like I found an animation that's like drive, and it's a picture, it's an animation of the avatar sitting down with his hands on the steering wheel and then just immediately getting back up. So it's just one chunk.
Yeah, we went when EcoBlocks, we put an avatar, like we were way ahead of like just put an avatar in your game to check off the avatar box. We were way ahead of that curve. And so we just put an avatar in the corner, and we went through and just made an array of all those stupid animations for him to do in the corner while it was your turn.
But you have to put the avatar squarely on the box, or else it's of no use.
Yeah, so they bleed pixels. Is the chat right? Is that what the other project was?
No, a friend of mine, Miguel Sternberg, he's also an XNA developer. He's making a game called They Bleed Pixels. It's actually it's a tough is fun platformer, and it's really good. Okay. And yesterday or the day before, I had made some voxel art based on the character from that game.
All right. So I mean, I've seen you in chat a lot asking about this. Is this your first foray into 3D? I'm trying to think of any of your other games. They all seem to be 2D. Is this your first?
Avatar Without a Shoot.
Oh yeah.
Avatar Without a Shoot. Yeah, there you go. That's not that complex a 3D though.
It's using a lot of the same engine.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, how are you finding? I guess, okay, well, let me make sure my premise is correct. Like, this is kind of a new for 3D, because it seems like a lot of stuff you've been doing is 2D. But are you actually quite used to 3D and just haven't been putting games out in it, or these are like your first 3D games?
I've been there's been 2 or 3 projects that I dropped that were in 3D that I've just found they didn't work out when I prototyped them. But I realized, like, both of these games aren't like, you know, models and stuff. Both Avatar Without a Shoot and Pixel Animators, both, you know, blocks or spheres or stuff like that. It's stuff that came from the primitive example.
Yeah, rendered in game with primitives. Okay. Yeah, because basically that's what I wanted to ask is like, what are your thoughts on 2D versus 3D for like other developers? Like, stay away from the 3D for a while? Are you kind of liking that and like focus on 2D, or is it not that rough? Do you think for an early developer to get into 3D?
The main reason I would say, and this is the reason I avoided 3D, isn't that I find 3D programming hard. I've programmed in 3D before. My issue is making the assets and making them look good is harder in 3D than in 2D.
Yeah.
You could have totally set me up for a plug I could throw in here, but I won't. But everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of my thinking, is that it's harder to make 3D look good than to make 2D look good, simply because of where 3D games are and where 2D games are.
Well, it's easier to do stuff like pixel art in a 2D game. In a 3D game,
nobody gets upset if you make a retro 2D game.
Right.
If you make it look all pixely and retro styled like the NES, nobody gets upset. If your 3D game looks like Doom, it's crap.
Yeah.
Nobody wants Wolfenstein.
Although I will,
I think there's one in this week that's like that, isn't it?
Oh, the Essen Counter or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad, like, I ran through it. I didn't make it 3 minutes in that game. I know I'm, like, talking about new releases, but that was one of my, like, 3 minutes in. I'm like, yeah, I've seen enough of this to talk about on the show. I'm going to go on.
It wasn't bad for a first-person shooter on Xbox Live Indie Games, which is...
That is such a caveat.
That is such a caveat.
Like, for a pile of crap, it didn't smell that bad.
Well, there have been much worse.
Yeah, what was the alien one with like the flashing white? You couldn't even see the walls.
Oh my gosh!
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I blocked that out of my memory,
and like
I know
the
what you're
ships
talking
were
about.
flying across the screen, but they were like
video of it.
Because they were like black ships on a black background.
I think there was something broken in the lighting in that, but
there was more than the lighting broken in that.
That's a good example though of like, some of the difficulty. I think it's interesting though that you said Avatar Without a Shoot was done with all primitives, and playing it you wouldn't really get that, but I guess that's a way to tone down some of the complexity. But if it's a very abstract game, still look graphically interesting without, doing the...
Well, I had plans for Avatar Without a Shoot. I was going to make all these different little characters based on like vinyl scene toys. And I was like, no, that'll take fucking forever.
just kick this out. It's not going to sell anymore. It won't cause more to sell.
It did well enough.
Are you going to put anything in there? Like, what's the plan in Pixel Animator for sharing the animations?
That is what I started programming today, the networking code. And it's going to be one-to-one kind of lobby-based. Like, hey, you want to download this one? And just trading back and forth like that. Okay.
And then it'll be like, if you have something like we have set up to record it, if you want to get it to YouTube, because I don't think there's any possible way you can...
yeah, no, I'm not like Mad Ninjas with his insane, like, I'm going to send the file through the audio channel and then plug it into my computer. I'm not doing any of that shit.
I think with his, like, what was it, like 800, 900 baud rate, like, maybe you can do that with music, but I don't think you're gonna do video.
You can do that if you have like a stable of samples that you can pull from, sample 1, sample 2, sample 3.
Yeah, well, I think he sends the data. He sends the data. He sends the header file. Like, here's the file that's about to come. Then he just plays the music and records the music. You can't do that with the video.
No. He doesn't just play the music. I think he does, like, which he has it set up for his file format. I think it's just sending the format of his audio files, and then he just kind of says, okay, I'll load that into the computer version of the program and then save out the actual song.
It's funny because we have him on the podcast. We interviewed him on this exact process, and not 100% clear because I thought he was sending the format to his special server Xbox.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That
Like,
sent the data of a header and then played the song on that Xbox. But maybe he is pulling it all over, and
for some reason I thought he sent like data. I've never played it. You
It's
have
magic.
So, yeah.
I played it. I tried to send one file up, and the damn server was down, so I never got my one file.
Point is, video is more complex than
Yes.
that sort of audio.
Yes.
So
The three of us have three different interpretations.
we can't define exactly how much more complex it is.
I guess you could use the audio on a server Xbox with probably go to Blackmagic because they make the kind of cards that have APIs that you can program and script and things. So from the Xbox video out with a Blackmagic card in the PC that's also listening to the audio track, then the audio track could send the start-stop signals and Morse code over or whatever you want to do for, like, here's the name of the video, etc. And that would get it to the video, and then you would have to convert it to a format, I guess. And then is there APIs for uploading to YouTube or something like that? Like, because then you have to post that video somewhere.
Yeah, there are APIs for uploading to
I know there's
YouTube.
APIs for our blip stuff, but then you have to convert it and code that. But like the bandwidth costs on that too.
And the time to encode video.
The time to encode that, but hey, you never know. You could end up with, like, $500,000, $250,000, like Easy Muse has done.
I hope. Yeah, but Easy Muse was making good money well before he had that feature in his game. That feature came in after he had lowered the price to $5.
That is true, yeah, because he was hanging on for a long time at $10. He was one of the last games to go to the $5 price point, and
he switched it because he thought his sales would double just because of that extra feature.
And so, I didn't know that. Do you know if they did?
No, they didn't.
It's Xbox Live Indie Games.
He was better to have never. He wouldn't have wasted the time. And well, what would he have done at this time? Insane Bash 2?
Insane Bash 2. I think that would be a huge waste of time for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, chat, are we trolling him, or are we just hoping he will listen to the podcast and
I think he's going to listen. I don't see him logged into chat.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's asleep. So we can insult him all we want.
What's that?
We can insult him all we want. He's not here to defend himself.
Well, I mean, soon he's going to be in the States. Like in a month or so, he's moving to Colorado.
I'm not sure if he is or not, because he was saying stuff about, like Medicare and stuff.
Oh, he wants health insurance? He better not come to the U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay in England.
He's better off going to Canada.
He may have not thought this full.
No, he wasn't thought through. But then again, he's got like, $500,000 or whatever from his Easy Muse. He can afford United States. It'll take all of his money, but he can afford healthcare in the States.
No, but they've got some conditions that are pretty much uninsurable also in his family, so that might be a bit.
Yeah, that's right. You're right, because I have talked with him offline about that, and because I kind of have that problem too with stuff that I've gone through. That kind of limits my ability. That's why I can't go independent.
Yeah,
I'm uninsurable independent. So, fuck, you have cancer once, and like the insurance company's like, oh, fuck you. And then you have cancer again, and they're like, now really fuck you. Now we don't even. I'm actually getting to the point though. A couple more years. I think about 3 more years. Like I can lie in the U.S. Like once it's over like 10 years, I think. Like you don't have to divulge any medical conditions prior to 10 years.
I've had continuing insurance, so it's
not that there won't be a podcast that they can't go look up called like The Cancer Show or whatever we put up for Funkworks. Like no, that was acting.
Why would they go in that much research detail?
That's too much trouble. That costs money.
Yeah, it probably costs more money to pay the health insurance than it does to Google me.
Look, you made a claim in 10 years? You made a big claim in 10 years? No? Okay, whatever, fine, go.
I mean, the best story of how bad insurance is in the States is that the house flooded. So the refrigerator line that goes in for the ice maker, which ever since it's blue, I have never connected the ice maker to the refrigerator. I'm just paranoid, like, don't do that. Like, that could blow and your house floods. And it blew when I had a contract in New York. So I was flying to New York that weekend, and then my ex-wife flew her up for the weekend in New York. And this was a year before 9/11. We went to the Twin Towers, and Statue of Liberty. Couldn't go in the Statue of Liberty because it's, you know, decrepit and, you know, not safe to go near anymore, but you could look at it from a distance now, which is unfortunate because I remember as a kid going in the Statue of Liberty and all that. So yeah, then we went to Empire State Building, threw pennies off of it, because that's what you do up there.
Seriously?
Seriously.
They tell you not to, but they don't stop you.
But actually, like, the whole, like, it'll kill someone, myth. And they busted it on Mythbusters, too. Like, I mean, a penny has a terminal velocity of, like, nothing, so it's not gonna...
It'll hurt.
It'll leave a mark.
But it won't kill you.
Not really.
Go through your skull.
You can hit the terminal velocity of a penny before it hits the floor. Like, there's not much weight to a penny to hit the terminal velocity. It's not gonna go any faster than that. So just drop a penny on your head. That's what it'll feel like. Now, rocks, on the other hand, that could be more interesting. But we didn't have any rocks. And like, when you get to the higher level, it's, like, all gated. You can't, like, go to the edge. Like, you have to have, like, a nice arm, you know, to get it over the edge of the Empire State Building. But anyway, so we went all up there, and that's when that flooded. So, like, that line must have blown, like, Friday. We get back Sunday night, you know, flight. So there's, like, 3 inches of standing water downstairs. And I was with State Farm Insurance. Replacing upstairs, replacing carpet downstairs, replacing stairs, you know, replacing all the different pieces. And they basically sent me a nice little letter that said, you've had a claim, so we're dropping you. And I'm like, I can't believe you can fucking put that in writing. Like, I understand, like, hey, we're going to drop this guy because he had a claim, and we don't want to insure him, but don't you have to make up some bullshit of, like, well, we've evaluated this, and we filled our policy quota, and we're just not, like, don't you have to, like, beat around it? But, like, they can put in writing, no, you used insurance for the purpose that insurance was intended. You get no more insurance.
Wow.
Yeah. So, come to the United States. Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. We got it all worked out. We'll be
everything in the U.S. is a liability.
We'll all be part of China here shortly anyway.
Ni hao.
They'll just default, and that'll be it.
See, you, like, they only own, like, 8% of our debt, I think. Like, they're not...
Yeah, really? I've never looked up stats. I know, like,
there's an article on CNN back when, like, the default was, like, this big, scary thing.
Right.
It's like, nah, man, like...
But they're our most recent and most powerful continuously.
Well, yeah, but...
They're the only ones with money we can borrow from right now. How about that?
A lot of it goes into, I think, was owned by U.S. households, Treasury notes, various other countries. Not that debt isn't a problem, but it is simplistic to say that...
I don't fucking understand debt. Like, how do you have...
I don't either.
Two countries have debt to each other? Don't you go... Like, if I owe you $5 and you owe me $5, we're even. We're done. I don't understand why that doesn't work on a country level. Like, why does that not... You know, it's like, everybody owes... It's like, okay, let's just figure out who we really owe. You know? And then let's go ahead and swap. Like, you know, we owe Spain, and Spain owes France, and France owes us. So let's just kind of, like, swap this around a bit.
What if it's done on a lower level, like this particular... department or organization or whatever with
it's fucking Bitcoin. That's what it is. Like, the entire world has switched to Bitcoin, and we weren't aware of this fact because it's not based in reality anymore.
Yeah, we're going off the rails here. Not that
world politics and finance. That's what you get on a GameMarx podcast.
we don't know about it either, but we're going to stop us from talking about it.
Let's go to something. I love that the chat is completely divorced of the topic of the podcast.
Like always.
And they're into like Space Invaders.
Because when we were talking about dropping pennies off there, like, that's why you drop silver dollars off of it. The developer, not the coin.
So let's talk about news of the week. And we only have one news of the week item, really. which is the build conference and the lack of stuff on XNA.
Outrage.
So what I know for a fact, these are facts. XNA,
There are very few of them.
XNA is not shipping with Windows 8. It will not be installed by default. Not going to be run on there with Windows 8. XNA will not support the Windows runtime, WinRT, which WinRT is what powers what they call the Metro apps. Microsoft is fucking up this whole Metro thing the way they fucked up .NET, where they're just calling everything Metro. Like when they called everything .NET. It was Visual Studio .NET. And you have Office .NET, and it's like, what the fuck is .NET?
It actually reminds me of, it seems like they're pushing it, like, because this is the new big thing, when, like, if they would just, like, back off a little bit, not lean in so much, people would not freak out. But
I mean, I thought Metro was like a design style.
it reminds me of, like, remember when Internet Explorer 4 and 5 came out? It was like, HTML applications! New, big thing!
Yeah.
And then it wasn't?
Like, hey, shit your web browser. Like, what's special about this, you know?
I mean, that's
and by the
grossly
way,
oversimplified.
Active controls are exploiting and hacking my system. But, yeah, so, all right, so we know that. We know that it's not going to be in the Metro apps.
Yeah.
But, you know, Windows 8 is going to run everything that Windows 7 is. They call it classic mode for now or whatever. I call it useful. Yes, I have run Windows 8. In fact, everybody can go now and download the developer build to Windows 8, or a developer preview of Windows 8. So you kind of get like the version of the Windows 8 OS that has Visual Studio Express tools installed. You can also, as of today, go download the Visual Studio 11. I kept calling it 2011, but you actually pointed out to me it's not 2011, it's just 11.
And that's kind of a misconception, because if it was 2011, then, like,
yeah,
this
it'd
may
be out
be a year
way
off.
ahead. Yeah,
this may be a year off, because
we are probably a year out at least for retail Win 8.
If you open up the version that's in the dev preview, it's kind of like, oh, here's a bunch of Metro stuff. Are they just throwing? But actually, there's a build video on what's new, and they're adding a lot of UI improvements and stuff like that. So it's not just Metro.
You can download Win 8, this developer preview. You can download the ultimate Visual Studio 11 and run it. And then I think I'm correct on saying this. Somebody blogged this, but they blogged it off a tweet that this was not correct. But that's like, you don't have a reliable source here, dude. Like, a blog off of a tweet, off of an overheard, like, no, that's sorry. Is that you will be able to put XNA apps in the marketplace. Because I believe what they call desktop and classic apps go in the marketplace, and I don't see any reason why XNA could not be in there.
Yeah,
I think there might be a separate Metro marketplace also, which wouldn't allow XNA games.
Right, yeah, so XNA can't be Metro apps, so if they do say, like, here are the Metro apps or Metro Marketplace, the tablet marketplace, because you're going to have to be in the Windows RT to be on the tablet. Okay,
Yeah.
There's no classic mode for the tablet, so if you want to do a game on the tablet, you have no XNA. That is not an option. Okay, even though none of these tablets exist right now, they did some Samsung giveaway thing or something, but there's no retail tablets.
all right, because
Yeah, there's no Win 8 tablets or anything like that to worry about. But as this is going, like, you know, you can't have the Metro, which is kind of the tablet UI that they're putting onto Windows 8, which, you know, using it, just my opinion, it's crap. I don't want it at all. Like, I tried to use it, and I can't find how to power off the damn system. I can't find the thing to power down. I can't find my applications.
it's built for a tablet, and it makes sense.
It makes sense
if
for
you
a
don't
tablet.
have that desktop.
It's good for a tablet.
And I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to have that
A
mode.
horizontal scroll bar on my 1080p
No.
23-inch monitor is retarded.
But it makes sense. Like, I'm even fine if they have that accessible through Windows, because I think that's kind of cool that you could use tablet apps on your PC and that's interchangeable. That that kind of gives you a point of kind of synchronization that you don't even get from like Android.
And it would be nice to be like, hey, I'm going to click Metro and launch the Metro desktop and then get into that. But that's not the default. Right now it's the default. It's kind of backwards. So, but I mean, they can completely change this. Like somebody posted online, here's how you go into the registry and you bring back the start menu. Because the start menu's gone.
I dug around literally my first 15, 30 minutes in Windows 8 developer preview was like, where is this? How do I change this?
All I do
want this
now to launch applications is I hit the Windows key and I start typing the name of the app and I hit enter. Yeah. I'm used to that, and don't take that away from me.
Yeah. And again, developers are probably they're the first people to see Windows 8, and they're
we're the worst ones
because we're going to have like 100 programs installed. You know, we're not using it for internet email.
I doubt your average person is going to complain that they can't find the command exe prompt.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's, again, like we said, a year out. This isn't even beta.
Change.
This is developer preview. So these kind of things probably will evolve and change.
We hope.
Yeah, I hope they change quite a bit. How far they change remains to be seen. My experience when I was MVP at Vista, at Visual Studio 2010, these projects, like the feedback we were handing them, like, this is crap, you need to fix this, ignored. And then they launched it, and then everybody told them that was crap, and we were like, we fucking told you.
Yeah. Well, it feels like Metro would be the kind of thing that marketing would push, like, hey, this is the new big thing, and like, you know, there's going to be pushback on that. Whether they listen to the pushback or not, hopefully they will in Windows 9. Like, this may be the Vista, and then 9 is the...
Yeah. Cicely's gone to a book, and she's not even watching the chat, and they're actually...
At least it's not, not the iPad.
You leave me
alone. It's not the iPad.
They're actually somewhat relevant, like explaining how you search and everything and all that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something I'm missing. I'm not...
But she's gone to a book, guys. I mean, this is almost like bringing out the iPad and playing the slavery games.
No, this is...
Would you rather the slavery games?
I'd rather you pay attention
At least
to the show
this
while
is
you're on the show, but I can't have everything I want.
This is a productive use of time. Not this time, but it's not like...
So anyway, all right, let's get to the XNA stuff of Windows 8. So the Visual Studio 11 does not support XNA. You can't run XNA projects in it.
Not strange, because Visual Studio 2010 didn't support XNA until 4.0.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of, the thing is that there's no, Visual Studio 2010 didn't have MVC in it, the new version.
Right.
But the ASP.NET team has a link up like, hey, it's not in it, get it here.
Yeah.
Get it versions, here's our plugins, here's our versions.
Well, I think it's probably more like SQL Server reporting services, where it's basically married to a particular version of Visual Studio, and if you want it, then that's the version you need to install.
The scary thing is that there is no information out of the games side of Microsoft that control XNA as to what does this mean. And in fact, right before the show, Sean finally broke silence. Sean Hargraves finally broke silence to start posting, because the MVPs had no knowledge of there was no XNA in Win 8. That was not going to be supported in Metro, that was not going to run, which doesn't add up, because XNA is a consumer-focused technology. XNA is about apps to the consumer. It's about games for consumers.
Windows Phone 7.
It is not an Oslo. It is not a business tier application thing. It's not something you can shuffle behind. Windows RT, Metro apps are consumer focused. And for XNA not to be there is kind of a big deal. Because that's really kind of saying, like, wait a minute, you guys are not putting a consumer product in with the other consumer products. This is kind of a big deal, but they may be coming. It may not be coming. Yeah. There's no information right now. And Sean posted in the forums, and somebody was basically asking, he's like, oh, well, we can't comment on future versions, because they asked the question, will Windows RT, will the support be there in the future? Will XNA 5, XNA 6, is there a roadmap of, yes, we intend to get XNA on there, but it's not making this first version. It's not a priority. ARM is our first priority or whatever, or blah, 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 whatever. But he just answered that with, like, we don't comment. Can't comment. No comment. No comment. And then, so I thought I asked something that he probably could comment on. And I just said, hey, is there a XNA 5?
Yeah.
Is there a new version of XNA? Is XNA being worked on? And is XNA going to work in VS 11? If he actually just said yes to one of those, if he just said yes, XNA will work in 2011, or VS 11, there will be a new version of XNA. We will update XNA. There will be patches. We will update XNA. I don't give a crap if it's in the Metro UI or not. That's enough for me to go, all right, cool, we're good. We're good. Let's keep going on what we're doing. It's going to be around it.
Yeah.
The fact that he responded to those of no comment, it's again, this is like when you lay people off at a company, okay? You don't tell the people that they're laid off until Friday at 4:30. You wait till the last moment and you pull them in a room and you go, hey guys, see ya, don't come back Monday. Right?
Yep.
Because you let them work the whole day. You don't cause issues until it's time. You don't tell them Friday morning so that Friday is completely ruined at the company because everybody's talking about the layoffs. You wait till Friday at 4:30 and you let them go. To kind of make some dark humor joke, you don't tell the XNA MVPs about the XNA changes when the changes mean they won't be MVPs next year because there will be no XNA MVP program.
When's the next time MVPs get re-upped?
Well,
like,
MVPs get re-upped every quarter.
Quarter.
So it's a quarterly cycle, but they're done annually. So, like, MVPs, when you get MVP, it's for a year. Like, I was an October MVP. So, in the October quarter is when I would find out, did I make it or not. Then there's MVPs in January. There's MVPs who get awarded April 1st. Like, shit you not. It is the worst MVP to be because it's just like,
I'm an MVP.
you don't want to be fucked with that day because Microsoft just sends you an email. Like, you're fucking all over your spam, you know, you're cleaning things out of your inbox, and that email can come anytime during the day. It's not like you get up at 8 in the morning and they're all out. Like, no, they kind of come out throughout the day, and some of them don't come out until, like, April 2nd or 3rd or 2 days after. You know, that's
that would feel better.
And it's like, so if you miss that email, right, there's no, like, follow-up, there's no phone call, there's no...
I assume they ship, you know, your...
You have to click some things in that email to, like, this is what I want shipped, and here's my address, and confirm. If you miss that email, you miss your award.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, so to be an April 1st MVP is hell.
I'm just saying, if October we may actually...
with April 1st MVPs. Yes, I have.
October we may actually know something, as if that is a clue.
That's kind of still early, I think.
Well, I mean,
I think it would probably get to an annual... Because the MVP program, the annual awards change at January now.
Okay.
This is how I ended up getting awarded MVP 2008 2 years in a row. It used to be the award program, the year was was October to October. So in October, right, of 2007, I got the award for 2008.
Okay.
Right? And then they basically decide what the benefits packages will be, the number, etc., and all that was done on the year cycle. So if they added, say, Silverlight MVPs, like they started at the year cycle, okay? They moved the year cycle the following year to January so that it lined up, so that you didn't have 2008 MVPs in 2007.
Right.
But since I was an October MVP and 2008 came around, in 2008, I was a 2008 MVP again. I have 2 glass statues that say, congratulations, MVP 2008.
Yeah.
And then there was some guy at the MVP Summit, too, that bitched about the glass statues, like the carbon footprint of mailing those out. And I really wanted to, like, dude, sit down and shut the fuck up, man. Like, I got this awesome glass statue award, MVP. Like, that is elite, you know? I mean, I kind of feel rewarded and all that, and I'm happy to display that. And if you don't want yours, then just say you don't want yours.
I was going to say, meanwhile, you know, carbon footprint of the time you spent at the computer and traveling to
well,
get
here's the funny thing.
The MVP
he mentioned
award.
that his was broken and it had to be sent again. So, like, Mr. like loves the planet doubled his carbon footprint by like, oh, it came broken and send me another.
Oh.
Which I think they actually changed the program. I don't know this because I didn't get MVP for the following year.
You may have just missed the email.
But no,
I know.
my MVP lead was actually nice enough to say, you're not getting an MVP award. Like, I actually nice enough to get an email like,
cool.
Don't bother checking. You told us you're not interested in ASP.NET anymore, and you dig XNA. But then you told us you don't want to do anything with the Windows Phone 7, so fuck you, don't let your door hit you on the ass on the way out. And, I was like, but that was the truth. It was like, hey, I'm talking more on XNA than ASP.NET. What is it?
XNA is not profitable?
Did that come from chat, or you...
Was it a question in chat?
No, they say it's not profitable.
Well, ASP.NET isn't profitable. .NET isn't profitable. I mean, it's a development framework. They don't make enough sales off of Visual Studio to justify that. That's not what they're trying to justify, right? They're keeping developers on the platform. So the sales of Microsoft come through Windows servers and SQL servers that are running .NET, but it's kind of an indirect thing anyway. So I don't think you would ever hold up XNA as a profitability, except the fact that XNA is in the game studio department and not in the developer division. So where the developer division is kind of like, hey, we run at a loss because we need developers on the platform. That's our success metric, not... You don't sell .NET.
Yeah, that's what I find interesting, because basically XNA is supported by PC, Windows Phone 7, and Xbox. I would bet that the main focus there, and I'm just pure speculation at this point, is probably going to be the devices there. Like you said, it's consumer focused because it's got competitors on the PC. What I'm wondering is, and again, pure speculation, Windows 8 they're setting it up as the tablet and PC platform. I'm wondering at some point if Windows Phone is going to follow suit, WinRT and all that stuff. If you lose one of the devices that XNA supports,
right now,
suddenly it's not so
I'm not
profitable.
counting Xbox Live Indie Games as a platform holding on to XNA. Okay? They could drop indie games in this next dashboard update. I mean, it's their own fault, but they're not making revenue off of Xbox Live Indie Games for it to matter. I believe it's profitable. For the amount that they invest into Xbox Live Indie Games, and the number of Breakaway, Fortress Craft, Zombies, the number of creative hits, they've paid for the guy to flip the damn database switch every now and then, and to kick the damn server when it goes down. Like, that's breaking even, all right? If not better, off of their 30%. Not to mention the number of $99 developer accounts they're getting as well. And if they can't run that profitable, then they fuck something up, because Apple and Google and all the rest are running that profitable.
Yeah.
The App Store model is profitable for these guys, so... and again, if they want more money out of it, fucking market it more, all right?
Yes. I'm not saying
it's... So the Xbox, though, unfortunately, because... it's not a crazy revenue stream source, could be cut in a heartbeat. No one would bat an eye at Microsoft to be dead and gone. I don't believe that's different in a heartbeat, right? There's nobody inside that company that seems like they are really fighting to grow XNA. There might be a couple people who fight to keep it alive, but nobody is like, hey, we need to give these guys leaderboards, achievements. All of that has been beat out of those people. If they tried it, they got beat down, they don't come back.
Well, XNA was the big thing, because I think this... We discussed
but
this.
Now,
I can't remember if it was on the
so
podcast.
finish on what you're talking about. So you have the phone.
Yes.
Right? The phone is not doing well.
No, it is not.
So, now granted,
but it's still something that they want to
develop. The phone has
develop.
XNA on it. But
it's a business interest.
If they're making this, if the phone is not doing well, and again, understand Microsoft corporate politics. The tablets... They
want it to succeed.
The tablets and Win 8 are being done by the operating system team. This is a completely different team from the mobile team that did Windows Phone 7. Okay, right. Even though they look alike because everybody's ripping off Metro, these are different teams, and that these teams had fighting matches over who was going to get to do the tablets, and the OS team won, and the tablet team lost. I mean, the mobile team lost, okay? It seemed natural that they should have put Windows Phone 7 on tablets.
Yeah,
But instead, the OS team got to invent WinRT, win the argument, and come over. Now, in the corporate world, mobile's not doing great. If the Win 8 team begins to become the new darling, the new savior, because these guys kind of screwed their pooch, then the likelihood of WinRT going to phones, which again, not out of the realm of possibility. If it's running on tablet and it's running on Intel and it's running on ARM, you know, the hardest thing in development is to port to 2, right? Like once you can get your platform running on 2 different systems, the 3rd and the 4th are much easier because you've already solved all the difficult problems when you scaled to 2. So the hardest step is from 1 to 2. It's not from 2 to 5. This is true in so many things. The hardest thing to scale between database servers is between 1 and 2, not between 2 and 10. Because you have to handle all the concurrency issues between 1 and 2, then you're done. So you have to handle all the platform idiosyncrasies between 1 and 2,
and then you're done.
Then you port much easier. So all the different phone chips that are coming out, Solcomm chips and all that stuff, it becomes a much better case. And if they have this great story of C++, C#, XAML, HTML, JavaScript, pick your tech, which does sound great. I'm not saying that sounds bad at all. By day, I'm a WPF developer, and I think XAML is great, and using C# with it is great. So that kind of mentality is fine. If WPF itself doesn't live, I'm not going to be heartbroken using the WinRT APIs, because I bet you the WinRT APIs are going to look very much like the
I can't imagine
WCF APIs. Like they're going to be patterned off of what they already know.
WCF or WPF?
WPF.
Okay, because I can't imagine you could use XAML and C# and it not function.
So if
like
that day happens, if the day of WinRT on the phone happens, if that starts to become a thing,
.NET is still alive at that point, and
So I mean, there's a WinRT.net or something. I guess I was trying to piece through some of the.
You use C#, so
yeah. If you use C# and you have namespaces, who gives a fuck if it's actual .NET or not?
Yeah.
It's just namespaces at that point, really.
Right. As long as you've got
So if the phone gets WinRT, then I think that's a death knell for XNA. Because WinRT is pushing this whole DX11 as the method. Now, I don't know if this WinRT is allowing you to call manage C# into DX11. If that's the case, and again, like these videos for build, that's my weekend. My weekend is planning on downloading a bunch of build videos and watching a bunch of build. But if you're going to be able to hit DX11
from
WinRT, from manage C#, holy shit, XNA has something to be scared of, because at some point, why do you maintain 2 versions of the same tech?
Right.
And if WinRT is going to hit ARM and XNA doesn't, then it makes sense. It makes sense to me to do that.
And if XNA goes away, again, XBLIG, they're probably not going to port.
I mean, that would be a bat and gone, like blink the eyes and it's gone. Maybe the next Xbox has WinRT on it or something, but
that's a whole other issue.
Again,
it depends on
understand
how the next
political lines
changes.
And that the OS team is doing WinRT. The game division, Game Studio Games, is doing XNA and the Xbox and Xbox Live Indie games. When I suggested 6 months or so ago, when they had one of these posts in the forums of like, what do you guys want? And I was like, why don't you guys just call up the Azure team and work out an Azure thing with them, so you guys get to control all of it, because it's on Azure. So it's not open internet access. It's backended by Azure through some special XNA APIs. We can have some cloud storage to do our leaderboards and such. And they won't be true leaderboards. They won't be leaderboards in name. We won't encroach upon the live territory. But this would do that. The answer from an XNA developer, XNA team developer, I don't want to say the name because I'm not 100% remembering exactly who it was we don't want to get another team involved. We'd like to keep it all in-house. And I'm like, aren't you fucking Microsoft? Isn't Azure in-house?
Well, yeah.
But again, political dividing guidelines, you know.
I've been in companies like that.
Yeah,
where it's,
that's the way Microsoft
every
is.
business
That's
unit is a
the org chart where
competitor.
everybody's pointing guns at everybody
Yes.
else. That is the Microsoft org chart.
I'm reading the R.A. Salvatore books about Dritz, and they are dark elves. Every last one of them.
Microsoft
Yes!
is just a bunch of different clans of dark elves.
Don't say that. Just don't. I want to stay a .NET developer. I don't want to.
There are a couple less than evil ones.
Well, so the thing is that this could be solved so easily with some comments from the XNA team.
Yes.
Of like, and all it has to say is officially blog on Sean. Who cares? We have stuff coming, guys. You haven't seen it all.
Well, because that's a good point.
When that note comes out, then everybody else shut the fuck up. I would be going like, hey, shut the fuck up. They said more stuff is coming. So you can speculate. You know, when people speculated that JavaScript was going to be the only way to program Windows 8 from those videos, I got emails off my blog. People came to there and like, what are we going to do? What do you think we should do? All that. And I was like, no, stand down. There's no way they're going to shift to JavaScript. That makes no sense. They're not going to throw all this out. No. Have you seen this video? Yes, I have. In fact, go to ours and read where they got their hands on a leaked build, and ours actually nailed it. Ours was 100% on for what was going to happen
actually
at build.
did. Yeah, a
As
really
far
good
as, like,
article.
This big
I think I read that.
unified framework and all of this coming. They did great.
Microsoft's strength has always, and I can't remember the guy. There was a guy who worked at Microsoft for a while who wrote about this. Their big strength has always been backwards compatibility. They've committed to that more than, say, Apple has. So.
Ender Gamer Chick has a good point in chat that they lost like 2.6 million or whatever. Was it million? No, billion. Yeah, they 2.6 billion on the original Xbox because they knew it was a loss leader, because they were going to go in and build on that. But then again, they weren't willing to put 2.6 billion behind indie games. They weren't willing to put 2.6 billion behind the Ken. There's been a lot of products lately. Like, I think the 2.6 billion loss was a different era of Microsoft. Was like a much more long-term strategic Microsoft than we have now.
Yeah.
Honest truth. We have a Microsoft that is sniffing Apple's ass. That's what we have right now.
Yeah,
and they are playing catch-up, and Apple keeps changing the game on them and not giving them the 3 years they need to catch up.
I think that's what I said to you when we were talking about it earlier. Is
You
like,
didn't say it that way, though.
well, no, all this Metro stuff. People are kind of like, because we both had that same reaction of like, what the hell? Why are they pushing this on us? Like, no, like you can't get up and
I know what you're
announce.
saying. Yes.
You can't get up and announce this will be less functional than the previous version, but it's the future. Only Apple can do that.
Only Apple can do that.
That only works
You did
if you're
say that.
Apple.
You said if Apple stood up with the Metro UI and showed that, everybody would be fucking loving it.
Yes.
And you're right. You are correct.
Microsoft can't do that. Its strength is
They kind of did
backwards
it. You know,
compatibility.
like what they've done to the Mac, the Air, my Mac Air and OS Lion.
Yeah.
Like it's totally been tabletized. Like scrolls work for the tablet, not for the desktop anymore.
You'll just have to get used to
I have
natural
an icon
scrolling.
screen. I have. I've gotten used to natural scrolling. I like my icon
You are happy
screen.
with the future they've chosen for you.
Yes.
But that is the power of the Steve Jobs distortion field. There's
Microsoft
no Ballmer distortion field.
Microsoft is part of the reality-based community.
Yeah, but I also feel like Microsoft has not had a good story that they've stuck to for like this is where we're going. Like
Yes.
just last year,
They
was
had it
three
with
screens
.NET
in the
for a while.
cloud. 3 screens in the cloud. How do you get to 3 screens in the cloud? XNA and Silverlight. And then
Yep.
like build comes and it's like what fuck? Yeah, no. WinRT. HTML5 and JavaScript, and it's like, what about 3 screens and the cloud?
That is what's... I think we've kind of been... This sounds alarmist to say it this way, but it's the way I phrased it in my head. It kind of lulled into a sense of security with that, because with .NET, a lot of the technologies that they've introduced, a lot of the core technologies that they've introduced have actually been very good, very stable building blocks. And, we don't have like...
Yeah.
One of those... I can't think of any because I don't go back far enough, I guess, in the Microsoft development world. Those technologies that just... It was going to be the future, and then a year later it flopped. So... we may be entering those times.
Yeah,
again.
somebody's saying in chat, 3 screens in the cloud. It's like not the idea of, you have a tablet, you have, although I think there are 3 screens when they talked about it, was television, PC, and phone. I don't think there are 3 screens when they started talking about it was tablet. So it's really 4 screens now, I guess, 3.5. But no, the message behind the 3 screens in the cloud marketing was Silverlight and XNA is how you reach 3 screens in the cloud. And there were slides up of Silverlight, XNA, reach the cloud, and they were showing you a phone, an Xbox 360, and a PC. Right, or like a laptop or something, and the thing comes like Silverlight's going to be on the Xbox. Are we serious? Are we doing that? That's awesome. Can we get at this? Is Silverlight going to be on the 360? And then there was like, oh wait, I think you're reading into the 360 and the Silverlight logo that we put right next to each other. We can't comment at this time.
There've been rumors going around.
Well,
about
I think
that for a while.
it might be there. Not for the public.
I think Silverlight's already there just for like ads.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Indie Gamer Chick said something like she doesn't think that they've chipped off that 2.6 billion. I think they have. I think they've gone so crazy, insane, fucking profitable on 360 that you just think of what they're charging. How many 40 million or whatever, 45 million gold accounts?
I just bought another Xbox 360 today.
Yeah.
Well, they needed that to break into...
I'm looking so forward to fucking cloud saves just to move my damn profile between upstairs and downstairs.
Yep. They needed that investment to break into, if not the Xbox as a whole, but just to have that set-top box option.
The Kinect is like the hottest selling device of all time, like the fastest selling electronics device of all time. Now, granted, I don't know what their margin was on that, but they damn sure hit the volume. I think actually the profit of the 360 is dooming the next Xbox. I think they're going to be, we've talked about this before, it's going to be the PlayStation 2 scenario. It's too damn profitable. Nobody is going to have the balls inside of Microsoft to replace the profitable system with the next gen, so that by the time they get around to it, they're going to be late to the party, somebody else is going to usurp them, and then they're going to expect, kind of like PlayStation 3 did, to we're the sequel to the hottest console ever. And it's like, yeah, you're a $600 piece of shit. It's like, they're going to be out of that. What's that?
GameCube.
GameCube? I don't know. That's my blackout period for Nintendo. Like, Super Nintendo was it for me.
Every Nintendo system. And we bought Segas, we bought PlayStation 1, and then PlayStation 2, and now me and each of my brothers have a PlayStation 2.
Yeah. The Xbox, in terms of pure profit, maybe not, but in terms of investment and having that position that they can work from, depending on which way the market goes... I think I'm gonna where I'm at is I'm gonna download a shit ton of build videos. And I'm gonna start looking a little into DX11 and dusting off C++ a little bit. But I think that's kind of I'll just kind of look at it. Do not want to go there.
I don't know that I'll go back there.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll go back to C++. I did a decent amount of it, so I'm not.
I've done only the
college
bare minimum. Yeah.
Like you did
I actually did have to do some C++ development about a year ago.
I did C++ for about a year or two outsght of college.
No, this was one tiny project, and I never want to touch it again.
And I did start doing DirectX. What's that, Stegs?
I miss C++. I did it all throughout the university.
Wow. Yeah, you don't hear that often. I generally like C#. But I think, depending on, how the message goes, or if there's a message, or what the future looks like, at some point you got to start, hedging your bets, and if I don't get a solid feeling that there's going to be an Xbox Live indie games strengthening, then it starts to become a Unity Unreal question. Yeah. It really does, because it's like, well, if Xbox isn't there, I can hit PC with fucking anything.
Yes.
Unity and Unreal and those start offering me iOS and web and those platforms. I'm going to be honest. I don't give a fuck about a Windows tablet.
Not
There is
particularly.
not a tablet market. There is an iPad market right now. Kindle may be the first one to change that.
Kindle's going
Kindle,
Android though, isn't it? Or Android?
it's a highly customized. You won't recognize it, but
But you
it's
can still run
underneath
Android
it.
apps.
Maybe, or you might have to go to a
Okay.
Kindle API or something like that. But they may
I
not
did
target
not
it
know
as a
that.
gaming because they're Amazon, right? It's Kindle. It's all about
Right.
selling music, movies, and books.
Well, even if it doesn't do high end stuff, the fact is,
But yeah, I
iPad
forget how
and,
that does that.
iPad and
They are
Android
the
tablets
first ones
draw
I think
out of a
that
phone
might
market.
challenge iPad.
Yes.
Nobody else has done a dent.
Yeah.
Everybody else has been basically the cheap geeks tablet. Like if you're too cheap to get a damn iPad, you got an HP $99 fire sale.
I bought a ViewSonic G tablet off Woot a while back or a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago.
That's who's
It's
buying
good,
these other
cheap
tablets.
tablet.
Have you
It's
watched
Android.
South Park's one on that?
The Centipad. Yeah. I think those are the only people who are buying
Yeah.
tablets outside of iPads. No mainstream consumers. They are all geeks who want an iPad or who want a Android tablet. They want to hack on it. They don't care about, different
We're
things.
still so far out from Windows 8, though, it's hard to say at this point if they'll have something compelling.
But as a developer, you can't bank on like these some upcoming potential tablet doing better. It's like, well, there's about 20 out here right now. Yeah, Windows might come out with one and it might be great, but why would you bank on it when they would still need time to build up any kind of an audience that mattered?
Correct.
Right.
And they haven't shown through Xbox or phone they know how to run an app store. Right now, phone sucks and the tablet looking like it might suck, where there's going to be very few tablets sold and a shit ton of developers in there. And for a game developer, you're still not going to get access to achievements and leaderboards and live services. That's going to be reserved for a partner. So you're going to be relegated as not a real game in the eyes of the consumer. It's not attractive.
Yeah. It's less attractive if on a tablet you could run Windows applications, then it becomes more attractive. But if it's its own tablet, OS, then especially if there's not that phone counterpart, like I said, Android and iPad grew out of.
And thinking of this
market.
too, like if you decide, if the WinRT stuff looks good, right? If I look at it and I go, wow, okay, there's a WinRT managed C# interface to DX11. Here's my game loop. Managed.
Done.
Okay, it's not called XNA anymore, but, I can...
I would feel very good about that.
I'd feel good about that. But then I would stop back and go, wait a minute. WinRT only runs on tablets nobody's going to buy and Windows 8 that's going to have a penetration that's going to suck for several years.
Yes.
So why should I bother at all with that? And it just...
Why make Metro apps when there's only going to be a handful of people adopting Windows 8 right away?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a good...
It definitely hangs on the success of Windows 8.
I think what Microsoft needs to do, I said this, I think in the early the week of build, and this is before I found out, like, I started reading the XNA is not in Windows 8 and not part
Now that was,
planned.
I was going to say, that's part of the problem. The first tweet that came out about that was no support for XNA and like...
Oh, no. That was like halfway through the first day, second day.
That was the first XNA
related stuff.
Related tweet, and...
But that was basically, I think it was basically MVP Chris Williams going,
yeah,
where's the XNA in all this picture? And John Lamb, which if you know
he was
your
phrased
guys in there,
poorly.
No, he just basically said, like, it's not there. The bits aren't there. And, that's not part of it. And, yeah, it was about WinRT, but that was how it came out. It wasn't like Microsoft officially. It was like somebody asked, so where's XNA? And then it's like, oh, yeah, that's not here. That's and it's like, there's even a worse way to communicate it because it should have been, here's where it is. It should have been a column on the, like, it's in the classic, like where they showed, like, .NET and WPF and all those side columns to WinRT.
Yeah.
There should have been like XNA Silverlight. They should have been up there showing like we intend for this path, but because it wasn't, it looked even worse. But no, when they started coming out, and I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, holy shit, they pulled this off. This whole fucking universal runtime, doesn't matter what language I use, and I don't have to drop to native code to take advantage of features that are only in the Win32 API because they are not in... Is it still called the Win32 API on 64-bit Windows?
I have no idea. I've never had to touch it.
Okay. I mean, I'm just used to my C++ days of calling it the Win32 API.
I would assume it is. I mean...
But that makes no sense, because it was called Win32 because we came from the 16-bit era, and that was differentiating between...
But now 32-bit is kind of the standard.
64
so
is kind of like where everything's going now, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say 32 is anymore. But anyway, so they were saying, like, they got this. My thought was, this needs to be a $15 upgrade. Windows 8 needs to be $15. They need to get penetration immediately.
Yes.
And because they have their app store, their marketplace, right? Microsoft is going to get a new revenue stream they've never had before, right?
Yes.
Off of developers in the program, off of, whatever cut they take, or it's probably going to be the standard, whatever. That's going to offset the sales that the OS team got from the OS itself. And you need to treat it like a Lion upgrade. You need to be like, hey, $30, hey, $15, upgrade. In fact, since you fucked over all the Windows 7 Ultimate people, where you're going to get all this extra shit, and this extra shit turned out to be fucking Texas Hold'em and language packs, like, you need to just go like, we're sorry, Windows 7 Ultimate, here's a free Windows 8 upgrade. You just automatically. Then all of a sudden, it gets really interesting.
Especially if you can beat the pricing on, like, all the Apple upgrades that come out, like, once every year
at $15.
Yeah.
And Windows 8, again, uses less memory and CPU than Windows 7. They have, again, crammed down on that. Props to them. I'm not taking nothing from them.
Yeah, all the stuff we said about Metro, like, that's the first visual reaction. Everything I've read from the feature list, like, they've done some awesome things here. It's just... I'm not sure what the story is. And like I've said, 8 kind of feels like... It's kind of like what they did with Vista. They threw all this new stuff in there, and then 7 is the point where they said, okay, here's how it all comes together.
Well, and then, too, when it runs faster, I think that's your marketing campaign. I think, fuck all this, like, really, all this phone marketing bullshit, and, like, we get you in and out of your phones, you don't have to use it. Fuck all that. Just fire all the Microsoft people... marketing people. They haven't done you a damn good thing ever, so just get rid of them all anyway. And run with the marketing campaign of $15, and it's faster. Like, who wouldn't pay $15 and it's faster? It runs on the same hardware. If you can run 7, if you can run Vista, you can run 8. It runs faster.
Yeah.
$15. Fucking do it. Like, at that point, it's like, it's $15,
Done.
Done.
It's like installing the service pack. Sure, why not? Click the button, done.
Yeah.
No.
You get Windows 8, and at that point, like if Microsoft does something really low price like that, where they can
Metro suddenly has a huge market. They can take
the upgrade cycle out of the hands of the PC manufacturers, because normally people upgrade their Windows when they buy a new PC. They just get a new PC with the Windows on it. They don't actually upgrade Windows themselves. If they can take that cycle and break that, which the manufacturers are kind of what killed Vista, more than people not liking it. The manufacturers were still selling XP long into Vista's release cycle, still letting you put XP on it, because they didn't want to support it, and that's kind of what people were clamoring about. But Microsoft had been very used to, once a new OS is out, the manufacturers stop selling the current OS, and they start selling just boxes with the new OS. And that didn't happen. And it made XP last a lot longer than they would have liked. If they don't do these kind of things, I think we're very much in a situation that 7 is going to last like XP, and 8 is not going to be. It's going to be a
totally
Vista.
Cool
it's
going to be 7 leave it lasting because it's
as a good coworker put at work. It becomes the Star Trek movie syndrome, where only the odd numbers are good.
Or the whichever. However,
Star
it
Trek
works,
only the evens are good. Windows only the odd numbers.
One,
you just grab every other one, and they'll set that pattern up, which So before XP, what did you have? You had Millennium?
I didn't get
No, I
Millennium
mean,
'cause
the
Millennium
OS
was-
before XP was Millennium.
Oh, yeah. Millennium and then 98. 98 had second edition and 98.
Yeah, well, you had
which I
98,
don't know what
98
the
SE, but then you had Millennium, which generally sucked. ME sucked.
Yeah.
Then you had XP, awesome. Then you had Vista, sucked. Then you had 7, awesome. Windows 8, you're diving back into that void.
The 9, it all
This is
comes
going to
together.
be a what the hell was the name of the William Shatner directed Star Trek?
Not the Undiscovered Country, because that's
Final
6.
Frontier, wasn't it?
Yes.
Episode 5, Final Frontier, or movie 5.
Yeah.
It was Star Trek 5, the Final Frontier. That just sucked balls. And it took Leonard Nimoy to come back and write the script for the Undiscovered Country to, salvage that whole enterprise, whole series. So yeah, that's what they're setting up for. Wow.
Maybe it's just an expensive playtest.
Expensive playtest.
Expensive playtest.
They're just testing the new S on the customers and seeing what sticks.
That's possible. I mean, I'm hoping that, considering how little information has been leaked about Windows 8, that they take some of the feedback.
Oh, well. All right, let's move on to our new releases of the week. The week runs Friday the 9th of September through Thursday the 15th is the GameMarx week this week. Our first game up, we did video of Aaron's Journey in Dreamland. This is a platformer that plays better than it looks.
Yes. Well, it actually looks decent.
It looks okay.
It's kind of retro-ish.
The graphic style is not unified.
Yes.
Parts are TurboGrafx 16, parts of them are Nintendo.
Yeah, like it's not a consistent theme, so it kind of like the individual pieces look okay, but combined they look worse because it's not all thematically the same. But it's an okay platformer. We did video on this one, because I mean it's not a lot to knock about it, but not a lot to go like, here's what's specially unique about it.
Seems like it might be non-linear.
It could possibly have, and the trial doesn't give you enough to know, but it could have like a Castlevania 2 type go back,
And there seems to be some way to switch characters as well.
And the help screen hinted to switching characters, which you didn't get into.
So maybe a Castlevania 3
fireballs.
sort of thing.
So I mean, if you check this one out, this one could be a buy just to kind of find out what else is in store from it. It's not going to overwhelm you in the trial, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to upset you either.
No,
I think it did pretty well. 2D Math Panic.
Grr.
Yeah, so this is like, hey, what is 2 + 3? And you like fly over. Here's the thing. So when I got bored of this, like 2 minutes in, I couldn't die. Like there were shipped lives. I was actually just selecting everything on screen, collecting all of them, getting the wrong answer constantly and suffering no penalty.
It's kind of confusing because every time you pick up an answer, the problem changes.
And if the answer to your current problem is already way below you and you're at the top of the screen, you still lose. It still says, no, you missed your answer, even though it was not gettable.
Yep. Well, they come down multiple times. Like you'd have to wait
I know,
for
but
it.
it still docks you for that one that was at the bottom of the screen when it flashed the news one.
Yeah. Although I guess that's the whole challenge. I don't know why I'm griping
That's
about
not
that.
a challenge. That's stupidity.
Next one up is Street Survival. What the hell was this one? I've completely spaced on it.
This one was one where you had to hit the things, and every time you moved right, you gained points.
Oh, yeah. So I stood the longest time, like, shooting everything before I realized how far I had to move right, because you had to move quite a bit of the way right to get the screen. It's kind of an old school, I guess it's a shoot 'em up, technically, but it's in the style of a beat 'em up, of a Double Dragon or something like that. Side scroller, but I mean, I should say something. We didn't do video of it, so
yeah, there seems to be some technique here to playing the game, and I did not get it because you can't stand back and kill all the creatures, but you can't move all the way to the right of the screen and
not hit the creatures, and the creatures take like multiple shots, and it was kind of.
Each enemy takes 2 hits to kill, and then you take 5 hits to be killed.
Yeah,
I'm sure I wasn't grasping it, but
you know your
next one.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, you're in for a good time when one of the screenshots is the high score screen.
Oh yeah, that's developers. That is a mistake. I think we made it too. Do not take screenshots of your menus. I don't care how proud you are of them. That's not helping your game to sell. The next game we have up is Avatar Street Basketball 2. And this sounds like it might be a basketball game. It's not.
it's not.
It's just a stand in place and shoot game.
I think there are other game modes. The freestyle is just
play
the
any of them
first
in trial.
one. Not in trial. Okay, well, yeah, I was going to say, like, we can't talk about it as far as, except, the mechanics of it, I guess.
Which was janky as all fuck.
Yes, it's...
you had like this ring for a power bar that like expanded around your avatar.
But it's not 1-to-1.
Oh yeah, it's not 1-to-1.
No, it wasn't like how far you were going to shoot. It was like a power meter in like a position that made you think it was 1-to-1. At least that was my initial assumption, but it wasn't. And it moves really quick, and the fidelity that you need to land the baskets is kind of crazy precise on that. But really all you have to do is that one mechanic. Like, you don't have to aim, you don't have to move and shoot, you just have to time that one ring. I think the modes that I played on it was just stand and shoot with the block moving, right? Like, so there was a block like moving back and forth that was floating in air to kind of like avoid hitting that, so you just had to time it to get around that. And I think that was it.
Yeah, it looks really
nice.
Freestyle,
and I did not really like it because I decided, I wonder. Hey, it says freestyle basketball. I wonder if I can dunk.
Yeah, I did play it. Now, freestyle just meant you could walk anywhere on the screen and shoot from there.
Yeah, suck. I could dunk. I should be able to make my me dunk.
It was never mind. Get to the Chopper 2. I'm going to deduct points for the coolness factor on this because it's actually spelled TWO, and since this really felt like this should have been a TOO game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it is the exact same fucking game as Get to the Chopper with a chick instead of a dude.
Yeah.
Down to the music.
I was trying to figure out, there's something on the controller or the help screen that was saying, like, there was a button that said extra, so I assume somewhere in there maybe there's another mechanic
that might pop up, but it would still like
you couldn't get it in the
it's
trial.
a rhythm game.
Yeah.
Sometimes the Y button does something, but it's pretty much like their iPhone release, which they then converted, I guess, back to XBlig.
So with the main being basically boobs, like that's the main improvement over this is like instead of a dude, now you have a chick with boobs,
which is sad because
short skirt and boobs.
It's not a complex game, but the original game was actually pretty inventive. I think for
we will go all out to fail Moe McCurry, but we have a panty crotch shot on the box art of this one.
Did not notice that.
Didn't notice that? Yeah, little white panties she's wearing right there.
Mike always notices.
You only see that if you're seeing it on a computer screen and like all zoomed in, and the viewer like.
You know, there's those people.
Speaking of,
I don't want to believe there's those
panty
people.
crotch shots.
I feel better about
Avail's Dungeon 2.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
We played this game. It was called Avail Dungeon 1. It hasn't really freaking changed. It seems to be.
This is
in fact,
chapter 2.
The demo has like less playtime than 1 did, because you like could make like one choice in the whole thing, have one encounter, or you could have 2 encounters if you took a second path. Well, but it was over in like 30 seconds.
The path basically takes you to the same location.
Which then again, I'm thinking like over in 30 seconds. Maybe that's the time length of the average player of Avail's Dungeon, who loads it up 30 seconds later.
It's done. From the people who brought you Beach Bubbles a few weeks ago.
Wow.
There's more of a game to Vale's Dungeon, though, than Beach Bubbles. Beach Bubbles is kind of the low mark of just put a photo of a woman in a game on that. Yeah, we didn't even do video on that. We skipped on that. We did video on Vale's Dungeon 1.
We weren't even going to mock it.
No. I think we're getting to a point where, like, now we're not going to encourage this stuff.
I don't think... Oh, man, I hope we need to, release a sex sells game. Maybe GameMarx will make a video of us.
I have boobies.
That's true.
Draw boobies.
They're probably not... Nobody watches. No. Next one up, we did do video of Strategic Combat.
I suck.
This is a combat chess type game.
Yeah.
Where you kind of have chess pieces, and then when the chess pieces meet, then they fight. Only it's not an actual chess board with actual chess pieces.
You're not limited on the ways you can move. It's more the distance you can move.
Yeah.
It's definitely a question of picking your battles, basically. I thought it was inventive, and that's why we did video on it, but...
It's a good idea. Yeah. It was rough in execution. Very rough in execution. The controls. So instead of being like a normal dual-stick shooter, which is basically what it was set up to be, one stick moves, one stick rotates the direction that you move. This is awkward as all fuck.
Yes.
Trying to control that is just... Most of the game is trying to get your guy facing the right direction.
And there are some cases where that, I think, is necessary, like the planes move... semi-realistically in the sense that they can only go forward and maybe, you have to make loops and stuff, but...
The first couple times I tried it, I could not get my plane to turn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it could have been better executed.
Our next game up, Pedal Juice? Peltagoose? I think it was pulled, because it's not on there right now.
Because I downloaded it and then went back to play it in the marketplace, and it's like, rate this game.
You couldn't even play the trial that you downloaded?
I think it got... Whatever happened between me downloading it and...
Okay. So if this comes back, if the developer pulled it for some reason and comes back, we'll talk about it then. But I guess none of us got to it before it was pulled.
No.
I thought I played it.
I'll pull up the database. It's a Dig Dug looking thing?
Yeah, I played that.
Okay, how did it play? It looks like Dig Dug from the screenshot.
It is Dig Dug.
All right.
The little money bags fall on your head or fall on the head of the things chasing you, and you pick up all the coins to complete the round.
From what I heard, it was actually an old game that was, I guess, converted. Maybe he didn't have the rights to it.
Because it looked like an arcade game. It played like the arcade game.
Like, yeah, looking at it, I mean, it looks like Dig Dug.
It even sounded like the arcade game. It just was a complete game. I was like, okay, this is a complete game. And
oh, wow, and this was a 400-point game, and Indie Gamer Chick said that she grabbed it. All right, so... well, you have a collector's item.
Yeah.
Indie Gamer Chick. You have an Xbox Live Indie Game collector's item. You have the rare Beetlejuice.
Because that's worth a lot.
Yeah. So, oh man, when the next Xbox comes out, I'm just going to have to face the fact of, like, this content's probably not going to move
Download
over.
everything. Oh.
Probably not going to move over. Like,
they're
Xbox
gonna
Live
do
Indie
the
games.
Nintendo thing of, you gotta buy this shit again.
Well, no, it'll be indie games. It won't be able to
indie
buy
games,
a game.
not the...
It won't run over there. Yeah. All right, next one up is Goolin. I have a bone to pick with this fucking game. All right, and let me get on the video. All right, that guy there is known as Transor Z of the U.S., Maginder Z overseas. He's an awesome robot, has little arms that come off, he's got some wings. You jump in the robot by getting in a little thing, and then landing in his head, and then taking off from that and all that. This fucking game, that is the robot in the game. It is blatant ripoff of Maginder Z, and I'm like, just because it's some esoteric bullshit doesn't mean you get the right to rip that off. And the reason I'm really pissed is, don't rip off my fucking childhood for your shitty indie game, because that was the first actual anime I ever watched. That was my Astro Boy. Maginder Z was my Astro Boy. That was the first cartoon I watched and went like, wow, this is different. What's going on here? I must watch more.
Wow.
It was interesting.
Oh, and it was a shit game, by the way, too.
Yeah, it was.
You said that.
When I figured out what was going on, I was like, you are a gymnast. Okay, I got that. run. And then I was like, oh, I have to jump into that. Okay, think.
It was like, figure out how to play this game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
The
was
game
like,
is figuring out how to play this game.
I think what frustrated me, the little pod you're supposed to jump into, I'm pretty sure I got close, at least close enough that I thought it should count one time.
You
Didn't
jump-
happen, and I was like, well,
you
this
jump
isn't
into the
it.
plane that's just sitting on the ground. You can't go far and you can't do so because once he lands, he breaks his legs apparently.
He's a shitty gymnast.
Yes, and then
No one has ever thought of walking.
yeah.
Safety first.
And then so you fly the plane and you make sure you don't crash into the robot that you're trying to fly next to. And then when you get the plane that's going straight up, and you can't see it by this point, you just gotta kind of guess because it's gonna be off the screen. It comes down in the shape of a head like any normal robot transformation, and then it kind of attaches to the robot and it flies up into the screen. And then at some point it comes back down, but I don't know why I kind of failed, it said, because I got the damn thing together. I win.
That's what I thought. I don't know.
Our next one up is Figure 8 Racing. We did do video on this one. So this is a not so great car racing game.
Yeah.
It's better than some of the others for indie games, like you were saying
Much
earlier in the
better.
podcast. It's good for an indie game racing. But, I mean, if you've done any decent racer, any racing game on it, the physics are way loose for controlling the cars, and the camera is kind of difficult to control to see what's going on. The cool thing, though, is that it has, like, this pool and soccer. So you can play, like, racing pool, racing soccer. Basically, you hit the soccer ball with the hood of the car into the goal. Like, if you knock it in, you get the point. And it's kind of this crash 'em up derby type thing. Now, the game still controls like shit. So really, it's just trying to control the car enough to be able to hit the soccer ball. Fortunately, the computer controls the cars just as shitty as you do. So, like,
Or worse.
as
we saw in the
sometimes,
video.
as you'll see in the video. The computer got himself stuck several times.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's kind of...
It kind of feels like
It's
Burnout
kind of that bad
with-
good. You know, it's kind of like, this is a bad movie that you should watch.
Burnout was crossed with Micro Machines, which was crossed with something out of an air balloon.
It's Burnout with lighter cars, lighter physics and slower
But the car is only damaged to a point, too, though. Like, they
Yeah.
bang up a little bit, but they don't seem to
But you want to
change
kind of
the
knock
physics
the
or kind
cars
of
around
destroy,
to win.
Yeah, you do. It is encouraged to win. You do need to bang around a little bit.
I wouldn't even say it's so
I
bad
like
it's
that.
good. It's just kind of...
I have now have a
Average.
new term, fuckberries. I like that. Thank you, Indie Gamer.
Where did this come from?
Well, she bought the game.
And
And
is that
she's-
her reaction to it?
Well,
Like,
to this whole thing of they may be able to pull this game even though she's already paid money for it.
oh, we're going back another game. I
Yeah,
thought you were
we're
talking
going
about the
back
car
another game
game.
on
one.
that, yeah.
No.
Yeah, she said on that.
I don't know why I'd
she
be
said on the other one
mad.
that it wasn't a Dig Dug ripoff. It was a Mr. Do Digger rip. But they're all clones. I mean, they're all like DNA genetically in the games the same. And when we say clone, that is not a bad word. All right, a clone is a natural thing for games to do. It's what you want games to do. You want clones. You want to play clones. You want to take a game that is like a game that you've played before and adds a variant to it. You know,
It's a nicer way of saying breeding your game.
it's you know,
Evolution.
It's the history of games. You know, it's like you take a game, Spades, and you clone it and make hearts. You know what I mean? Like you evolve the games that way. That's how we move forward. It's not giant crazy leaps. It's a little bit. Rip-off is what we will call Angry Fish next week. All right?
Or right
That's
now.
a different class.
Stabbed in the face! Stabbed in the face!
Next,
No, that's sequel to a clone.
sequel to a clone. The SE Encounter, C Encounter, C Encounter. I don't know how you're supposed to say this. SE is capitalized, and Encounter is not. Bad first-person shooter. I kind of ran around a little bit.
I went up to one of the human-ish shooters.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I went straight up in his face. I bull rushed him. There's no way I could just stab the stupid fucker.
There is a
But he
melee
couldn't
attack.
shoot you at that point either.
But he couldn't shoot me.
There's
a
He
melee.
doesn't have a knife. I could not figure out what button it
B.
was. I tried B.
No, I did die
It
at
would
one
not
point,
let
and I did like at some point lose the ability. So maybe there's a glitch. But I know when I first played it, I could do
I
that.
hadn't died yet.
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily.
But I pressed B
associated with
because I
dying.
first press A, see if that does anything. If that doesn't work, try B, and then try Y, and then try X.
I mean, this is the reason why 3D games aren't great ideas, especially a first-person shooter on indie games. Because I'm like running around, and this is no Call of Duty, this is no Gears of War cover mechanic. Like I can't, dive behind cover. I can't shoot around corners. I can't it's just point and go this direction and shoot. And
there's a high degree
that
of
time has passed.
Yeah, there's a high degree of accuracy necessary.
I got to watch
so I don't
him
know
die.
if it's hard as fun.
I can
or if it's
barely
just
tolerate Half-Life
poorly
anymore.
balanced.
Like Half-Life is so broken and janky now. Like I can barely tolerate it, and this is no Half-Life. So our next one up, we did.
Sorry, can I point out one thing about SE Encounter?
Oh yeah.
I watched these lists very closely. I watched the new releases list very closely, and maybe it's just me, but on the day it released yesterday, it got 60 reviews really quickly, went up to 4 stars, then just trickled down to 3.5. And I don't think it's a 3.5 star game even, so...
Yeah, it's sitting in our database at 375. We update nightly, so it might have fallen a little bit, but...
Generally, if you've got enough friends, then you tell them just go rate the game.
Facebook, yep.
Yeah, he ran out of friends at 60.
That's all right. It's enough to keep him for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a psychology to the rating system, too. You see a game rated 4 stars, 5 stars, regardless of how you feel about it, you're more apt to give it a higher rating now because you're well, this has obviously got something going for it everybody else is seeing. So I'll give it 4 stars. If you see 2 stars, you give it 2 stars, even if you liked it. So, unfortunately, that kind of gaming works.
Anchoring.
That works. Our next one up, President John America Saves America.
Fuck yeah!
So, we've tried to understand how much of this is parody, and how much of this is believing in.
Is it patriotism? Is it conservatism or anti-conservatism?
And I love how you just won't call out the Tea Party. You won't just say Tea Party wacko.
It's not purely Tea Party. It's not. It doesn't feel like it's purely from that strain of.
That the debt will collapse and will be overtaken by China.
Yeah, but the idea of a tough guy with a tough guy president with a handgun.
Current president will just up and leave because the country's screwed, and will go on
president of the
to Hawaii.
I don't know. Actually, okay, Tea Party or conservative, whatever. We can't tell if this is a parody or serious. This is Poe's Law territory right here.
Yeah.
Go look it up.
And the gameplay is actually kind of a shitty strategy resource game.
Yeah.
Of trading and it's like what you start out doing in Civilization to kind of get going.
Yeah.
But there's all these other things, so you don't complain about how tedious that one piece is, but it's just the tedious of Civilization.
It seems hard to tell because
It seemed overly complicated.
Yeah, they have a lot of options that look like they'll come into play later on. There's multiple different meters you have to worry about. You can bomb countries, you can invade countries, you can send aid while you're doing all this trading.
And don't tell me stuff in a tutorial that I can't quite see. It's either in the tutorial, either show me by highlighting this stuff and force me to go. If I pick tutorial and I can just fucking play the game, make it a tutorial.
Yeah. The UI is confusing, plus the tutorial doesn't help, and it's easy to completely miss.
And it's
that there is a radial menu.
Because it said you can press left bumper to have them repeat whatever in the hell he just said, but you can't interrupt him while he's talking to see, oh my god, I just missed something, I think.
Yeah. It has a lot of art style, even potentially the mechanics. It has a lot of potential, but the presentation just
But we did video on it anyway.
Yep.
So that'll happen next week.
So that happened.
Next one up is Dead Pixels. This is an 8-bit zombie simulator.
Is what it says.
Yes. Compared to your zombie action games, this is actually the more simulation zombie.
I have questions about that.
This plays again side-scrolling beat 'em up. Although you're shooting, you're not Double Dragon beat 'em up, but you're Ninja Turtles type side-scroller.
Good Ninja Turtles.
You do have to watch ammo.
Because you can run out. It is a simulation.
Yeah. You do have the ability to loot stores.
And you have to
there's
keep an
shops
eye on that.
to get on that, so you gotta kind of stay on that. It is kind of tight resource matched. There's a co-op mode to play through co-op. The art style is actually wonderful.
Yes.
The art style is like 8-bit meets 70s retro.
Yeah,
type.
they've got like the film grain thing going.
They've got film grain going and things like that. The opening is done real well.
Amazing.
So the only thing I
presentation.
The only thing I kind of like is like it's a 70s style, but it takes place 1985. So I'm thinking like the developer, are you that young that the
if they blend
85
together?
past
I think
blends
it's
together?
83 actually. Like,
They say like 83 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that was the 80s, man. That's this is more 70s that you're doing. There's some nods in it, I think quite well to Left 4 Dead.
Rest in peace, Bill.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bill. And they get to the helicopter. It looks entertaining. It looks entertaining.
We flew through that 8 minutes.
Yeah, we did play quite a bit through here. Next one up is Call Me. This is another damn dating sim.
And it
We
even...
need more.
What's that?
We need more of these.
No, we don't.
More dating.
No.
No.
I thought they got banned. Like, I thought they were all getting pulled. Like, dating sims were, like, not okay.
This is not trying to teach you.
It is.
Oh, it
It
is.
is.
Yeah, it does
Yeah, it
have
is.
lessons.
It is
I
like,
forgot
hey,
about that.
we'll ask the girl, ask these
game.
questions, and then tell you how you did afterwards, and we'll coach you when you buy it.
I got the girl's phone number.
I got the girl's phone number, too.
I did.
I am
once.
a partier.
Jim tried to fail this one.
He should
Yeah.
have. I'll give him that. He should have.
The personality test aspect is like, that's kind of cool, but it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, speaking of partier. So I'm reading Queen Bees and Wannabes.
Okay.
This is a book on how to handle an adolescent girl going through middle school and, how to deal with all that
Drama
and thing like that, and it's basically informing and going on and talking about how like the actual enforcement is not the enforcement of like the way girls need to behave and sort of is not like external media or guys' vision of women. It's the other girls that dictate what you should be wearing and all of that
totally see
and
that.
things like that. So it goes through and it kind of breaks down like archetypes. And it breaks down the archetypes of the boys as well, of kind of how they behave. And there's one in there of the nice guy, right? And, your daughter could be with a nice guy, and, generally not comfortable around women, and is kind of surprised if a girl is interested in him. The funny thing is like, when the nice guy realizes that girls like him, he either becomes, what was the two choices?
The player
or or a good choice.
Yeah.
Or like he becomes like team lead type guy, more confident type guy.
He's like, that either bolsters his confidence in a good way or in a very, very bad way.
Or he makes up for lost time, which is hilarious because I was like, aha, see? I just did. Me. I am fitting my psychological profile of nice guy to making up for lost time.
I could. That actually sounds interesting because I get into those kind of books. I'm not gonna go into that because
do you want to read a book about raising a 13-year-old girl?
No, I actually. I don't know. I read a book recently called American Nerd, and it gets into the whole like how the concept of a nerd developed and how it's tied to all this racism and all these ideals. I kind of find that stuff interesting, but I don't know. I wonder how I would have stacked up when I was in school.
It is kind of interesting to go back and read and see like a psychiatrist's take on like the whole fuckdom that is like middle and high school.
Yeah. And I can imagine that would be
I want to
very
read
useful.
it just to see how much of a different personality that I'm having to deal with. Because half the time when the girls do something that I don't expect, I just want to hit them.
Yeah, and
it's a bad reaction.
There's a funny part in the book where it's kind of not really funny, haha, kind of funny, sad, but it's in the book and it's like in the intro, like moms. Next 2 paragraphs just for moms and their daughter, and like you think you can go talk to your daughter. Oh, this is a
practical book as opposed to theory.
Yeah,
not so much.
This is raising your daughter. Which no, but it has that theory. Like you might actually,
I think
read a little bit and you'll see if it'll be interesting as a psychological book. And I think it will.
So many books,
but it basically says like, mom, you can't talk to your daughter. Even though like you were a girl and you have all these experiences, understand like from her view. You're just dominating, and you're telling her how she should behave, and all of this, and you're just gonna have these all mother-daughter fights, and this is just natural, and this is what goes on. And then there's like section for the dad, and the section for the dad is like watching a little girl grow up, and she's dealing with these things, and there's pressure for her to have boyfriends, and you want to do all that, but it could be worse, Dad. You could be the mother.
Yeah.
Because basically at these stages, at this age, you have the opportunity to become awesome dad. Because you offer the guy's perspective.
Yeah.
So long as you do
alternate perspective as
so long as you do it properly. And that's kind of what I'm reading the book for, of like, and I've already kind of made a mistake, and I kind of got to go back and not a big critical mistake, but I started down a path of like dismissing the drama as teen drama. And that's the like you can't do that. Because that teen drama is her world. And if you dismiss it, you don't understand, you don't listen. Even though it's fucking just teen drama and in a year it won't matter. That doesn't matter. You got to put yourself in her world, and you have to sit there and listen to so-and-so said this and all that to build that rapport and the confidence to where she talks to you about anything.
See, I think I was talking to a couple friends a while back who have a kid who I think was a lot like me. And, their reaction was like, man, he gets picked on and all this. And, like, it's interesting because the parent's normal reaction is going to be like, hey, it's going to be great when you get out in the real world. It's all going to be fine. And it's like, no, that was a freaking lie. It's just like it was back then. Like, no, you need to...
No, in the real world, like, your work, your job, much things you do, you are much more measured on your capabilities and things like that.
You are, but you're still, it's not the perfect world that you think it's going to be.
But it's not the society run by the popular kids who decide what happens.
But there's more of an element than parents of children like that want to tell their kid about, I guess. Like,
yeah, but I think it's still valid. I mean, I think it's completely valid because...
I understand.
Nothing is like high school.
Nothing is like high school, but I guess what I mean is you set up, this perfect world.
I was not getting laid in high school after it left and right, so...
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. We do have one more game to get to.
Okay.
Which is Balls and Walls.
We could have skipped this.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole thing. I'm like, I'm going to have to edit that portion of the podcast and put it as like an outtake now so it doesn't fuck up like the new releases segment. Our next game is Balls and Walls, and it's Quicks. Did you ever play Quicks?
I never played Quicks.
So I played Quicks. This is my first experience to it, but I think there's games that predate it, even that. Quicks I played on the Game Boy, and basically you just shot across the screen. You were on the edge, and you shot across the screen and blocked that territory off while trying to avoid the quicks, is what they call it, the little thing bouncing around. And you just had to trap that to a certain percentage of the screen. And that's what this is. There's little balls bouncing around, and you have a little cursor where you extend the wall. And if the wall makes it all the way across without the balls hitting it, then that territory becomes off limits. And there was another mode where instead of just limiting, you had to separate. There'd be multiple balls on the screen, and you had to separate them. It's okay. I mean, the game premise is not that bad. Like I said, I played that on the Game Boy all the time, but that's kind of a mini game.
Yeah.
And this didn't do anything, and it wasn't all polished. It seemed like a first game by a developer on the service. Which in that case, you know, it made a game. You know, congratulations, that was not that bad.
I had a lot of fun with it, but it was kind of like short-lived. I got up to like, you know, the level with 3 balls, and it's kind of like, actually there are multiple. They don't, you know, it's not like first level is 1, second level is 2. It kind of moves slowly, and by the time it got up to 3, I was kind of like, eh.
So that wraps up our new releases for the week. Are we just gonna come right out?
Just do it.
Just do it. Well, hold on. Is he's not in chat, is he? The developer for Dead Pixel. Can't strafe right. And it's funny because he sent me a text. He sent me a DM. Like, am I up this week? And it was kind of funny, you know, it's like, are you feeling good about your chances for Game of the Week? Is that, you know, it may have just been just honest, hey, I just want to hear you guys comment on the game, and I know you guys talk about them, you play them, and, you know, maybe there's one developer out there who values our opinion and is not going to tell me, like, no, that game is totally not fucking based on that 1980s game. It's based on the 1980s arcade cabinet version of that game. Yeah.
One moment, please. Stegs, I did not know. Felicitations. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Hey.
Do you not read our fucking site?
No, I don't.
Yeah, there's a big happy birthday to Stegs on the site. So, awesome.
Leave me alone.
Continue reading your book.
To be fair,
chat.
I saw the headline, and like, okay.
You didn't actually click through and
I think I watched. I was like, oh, I need to make a point of watching the Pixel Animator video. And now, like,
yeah, that's
I don't
actually
do
kind of
well
how it came
reviews.
about. Like, somebody wished him happy birthday yesterday, and he was like, the day early, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, your birthday is on the podcast. You've got to come on. This is what I've gotten you. I've gotten you a bunch of Windows 8 hate. Congratulations. So, Dead Pixels. That's our game of the week.
Pixels.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't think we have a...
There was no other. There were contenders in theory before it started, but there was no
I mean, we can
contender.
pretend. We can run down the list
Like,
and...
Well,
before it started, like before it released, because it released late last night.
yes.
It did, yes.
So-
It did come out like last night.
Oh, this is a tough choice.
Yay! A shining piece
It's one of those
gold.
weeks where you're like, are we going to have 5 videos this week? Are we going to be able to have a video a day? No.
I thought we could.
Out of like
I figured
18
we'd just make
releases-
fun of more, like, Avalanche Dungeon 2.
Yeah, out of
Get to
18
the
games, we
chopper.
can't talk about 5.
Yeah.
And then God said, "Let there be a game."
it's
And there was
the
Dead Pixels.
X and A and Summer Uprising. It's the Dream Build Play and Summer Uprising all over again, sucking up any half-decent title
Yep.
from releasing. Do we got anything else before we get out of here?
Chat? Anything in chat?
What exactly is Enderman?
What is... Yeah, that's...
Oh, an Enderman is a creature in Minecraft.
okay.
I don't know if the name directly correlates to something. I read Notch's thing on it. It makes me think of Doctor Who, the angels. Like those angel statues in the new Doctor Who, where if you don't look at them, they charge you. Like, I think that's what the Endermen do. Stegs, you've played 1.8, right? Do the Endermen do that? If you don't look at them, they charge you?
So from what I've learned about them is that if you look at them, then they kind of start standing completely still and just staring back at you. And then the moment you turn away from them, they start teleporting and just kind of sneaking up on you super fast.
If you want to look up the episode, the one is called Blink.
Blink, yeah, Doctor Who Blink. Yeah.
Basically, as soon as you look at them,
There's a t-shirt.
you're dead.
There's a t-shirt that they should parody for Minecraft now. It's like, everybody stay calm and don't blink. That you can get. So, yeah, Notch was, I read the post on it, and I was kind of wondering if he actually, he was like, how do I make a scary creature? Because the creeper isn't scary.
It's just
He's
startling.
He's startling. Yeah, he's
Keeper's a lot scarier than the Enderman to me.
well,
Well, yeah.
in the
But you
moment,
can't stop the Enderman.
in the moments where you hear the creepers coming, or you see it, and then you kind of have to run from it. But most of the time, he just kind of pops up on you and like, and you're shocked. So he wanted actual fright, scared. Like, hey, can I make you scary? And so the idea of the Enderman was like, once you see him, once you have made eye contact, he's coming. You can't stop this.
You're going to die.
Basically, you're going to die
He will
now.
pop right next to you if you just try running away from him while watching him. You get certain part away, it's like, okay, he's gone.
Can he be killed?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he can be killed.
I've killed them, so.
Okay, well,
I still need to load up 1.8 and jump into Minecraft. I might do that between my build. My plan this weekend is build session, sobbing in the corner, play some Minecraft to recover, build session, sob in the corner, Minecraft. That sounds like a weekend.
it is dire. Like, I mean, the full, effect of the changes being made and how that affects X and A are not quite, we don't know what they are, but it's like, it's out there and
it's just like, like the thing in the back of your head is like, if it was
end
good,
of an era type of
they
thing.
would have said it. If it was good, they would have said like, oh no, don't worry, something's coming. But no, we can't talk about anything.
How long do I have, Doctor?
Yeah. Just tell me, Doctor. Just be honest. Especially because we've kind of lasered in on what we're doing and
yeah. Well, I mean, even we've spent GameMarx is XNA and specifically Xbox focused. It's like, holy crap, where does that?
We could go indie game dev and kind of, because that's what we have. That's our audience is game developers.
Yeah.
And we could kind of reinvent ourselves as a developer
podcast.
Although
actually, that would
having the game review site gives us the crutch to not know shit. We don't have to be smart game developers because we're kind of half developer, half review. See, we have that scape, right?
Yes.
They're just kind of, hobbyists at this. If you have a podcast where you're saying you're developers,
I think we can
you
be
should
entertaining.
know your
though.
shit.
We can be entertaining, so we don't have to be like the podcast where you learn stuff. We're, this is the culture side of things. We're not education, we're culture.
Let's stop this before we say something we're going to regret.
Done. Okay.
All right. Anything,
Sobbing in the
Stegs, you
corner.
want to shout out before we get out of here?
My game/app is coming out probably in a month.
All right.
Maybe less.
Check that out. Look for October Pixel Animator 3D. Thank you for coming on the show. We loved having you on. And everyone else, we will be back in a week.